Julie, welcome to the studio.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for coming by. What is anti-bias education?
It's an approach to thinking about working with children. It's a foundational idea as basic as developmentally appropriate education. It says that children are not only their individual personalities, their individual temperaments, but that all children have social identities, that they exist as boys, girls, racialized identities around all the ways we categorize people, that children have identities around class, around culture, around language, and that those are as much a part of the child as their temperament is. And that in a world like ours, where people are treated unjustly and badly, where the stereotypes come down on children, that there's a constant process where children's identity is being put from the top down, being pushed in from society onto the child, and at the same time being created inside the child, which means that those of us who work with kids have the opportunity to help create a sense where children feel strong about who they are without having to feel superior, but can feel strong and proud about who their family is, who they are, and feel at ease and excited about the diversity of people, that rather than being fearful of people being different, embracing that, have the skills at age-appropriate ways to recognize what's unfair in the world, and kids are very concerned about fairness, and have the skills to stand up for themselves and for others. And that frame is what we call anti-bias education.
And why is it so hard to attain?
I think there's a bunch of things. One is that the world is still an unjust place, that the world we live in continues to perpetuate and treat people differently based on their identities. And that's a big thing to shift. Also that as teachers, we carry our own identities and our own what we do understand and don't understand about the world, and end up reinforcing a lot of the stereotypes, a lot of the behaviors that if we recognize, none of us would do. And the system we're in does not create the space or time for teachers to be meditative, self-thinking, to work with each other, to learn those things. So it's very complicated, but it comes through everything you do in this field. As basic as developmentally appropriate is this culturally appropriate. It's everything you do. It's not a curriculum.
Let's talk about the curriculum, and I know it's not a curriculum, but let's talk about the aspects of what it should contain. Because you recently wrote a piece titled Understanding Anti-Bias Education, bringing the 4 core goals to every facet of your curriculum. It's not a curriculum, but you bring the goals to the curriculum. I understand, teacher, yes.
Got it. Learn well.
Thank you, if nothing else. What are the 4 core goals?
I said them just now, but I'll be more specific.
Yes.
That children need to learn that who they are,
identity.
who their family is, identity.
Yes.
Who they are, who their family is a good thing, not a superior thing, but a good thing. The second one is diversity.
Diversity, yes.
We are different. This is exciting. It is something to embrace. Third one is justice. Is it fair? Is it not? And the final one is activism. And the shorthand version of that is, I'm okay. You're okay. That's not okay. Okay, what are we going to do about it? It's a shorthand.
So let's get practical. How can this be integrated into actual curriculum?
Just about any curriculum you do has a space where you can talk about how we are all the same and we are all different. And everything we do with children can carry that message, all the way from simple things like we all like to play with the blocks, we build differently with the blocks. Everybody's different in their own way. We all like to eat, we eat different foods.
So you can really think about each activity, but think about it through the anti-bias lens.
Carries that message. And every activity carries the opportunity to help children move to, is this fair? Is this safe? Fairness is safety for children. We figure there's one rule for our classroom, which is everybody's feelings, things, behavior is safe here. This is a safe place for children and for families. Once you've got that rule established, you don't need any others. They all fall into that.
What reactions do you get? Is there ever any pushback?
There's always pushback. We're talking about things that are, nothing is more important to parents than their children. And it's pretty scary when their children start learning things that may not match the family's values. Teachers struggle with, aren't children too young to care about issues like bias? I mean, aren't you putting ideas in their head when we talk about this isn't fair, this is fair? But children don't learn prejudice from learning about, they learn prejudice from prejudiced behavior.
Modeling.
You know, they don't learn it from, we are all different, we are the same, we deserve to be treated for who we are.
You began your early childhood education career working as a family care and family child care provider. Right. You worked for Head Start. You taught in private and public preschools and parent cooperatives, kindergarten, reading in elementary schools.
I'm old.
No, you are accomplished.
Thanks.
The older I get, the more I focus on being accomplished, not aging. Even community teen mothers you've worked with. You have worked in a range of areas, some uncomfortable areas, some areas where I'm sure success, as one wants to define it, was hard to attain. What kept you going?
The same thing that started me. I was absolutely amazed at what young children's capacity to learn, their creativity, their intelligence, this huge capacity human children have. And I also was teaching remedial reading to adults who are illiterate. And I thought, what happened? How come we all start with this wide capacity? And for so many of us, the path through education is a path of learning where we're stupid, what we can't do, what we're afraid of. And it tied to a whole political view of the world. What do we need to do to make sure that children can become fully human, can take all of that capacity they come to us with and utilize that? And that's what drives me. That's what's driven my work for 60 years.
Leaving the world a better place isn't such a bad thing to do,
No, it's not a bad thing.
Julie, thank you. Thank you for
very
what you've
much.
done. Thank you for coming by the studio.